Hey everybody! A few weeks ago we started some seedlings and they've come up, and now we're going to transplant them into some bigger pots. So we've got some potting soil here. I'm going to fill up all my containers and then I'm going to hydrate it. It's kind of packed into a bale here, so it's going to loosen it up a little bit. I'm going to fill them up kind of even with the top, and once it's hydrated, it's going to sink down a little bit. So I'm going to moisten all this potting soil before we put the plants in it. See how much it shrinks down. And I'm going to add a little bit more to some of these that really shrink down a lot.
So why are you adding more soil into those again?
It really, it just kind of really shrinks down once it's wet. For just a few minutes, and then we'll drain the excess water off. Then we'll be ready to plant. So here's the plants that we started a few weeks ago. The tomatoes, I did 4 different kinds of tomatoes. This is broccoli and cauliflower. And the peppers took forever to come up, and only 3 out of 4 have come up so far. But peppers seem to have a harder time germinating. These are just starting to come up. And then I did plant some zinnias about a week or so ago. I'm going to put them in some pots too. I'm going to do, it's still quite a while until we can plant these outside, so I'm going to do the tomatoes in these bigger, I have kind of a miscellaneous of different pots here, but I'm going to do the tomatoes and the peppers in these bigger containers because I really want my tomatoes to get as big as they can before we plant them outside. So I'm going to just set these on. And with these peat pellets, you don't have to take this mesh off. I think it just kind of decomposes or something. So I'm going to plant all 4 of the tomatoes and then the 3 peppers in these bigger containers. So I'm just going to make a little hole down in there and put my tomato plant in.
Why are you pressing down on the plant after you've surrounded it with soil? What's that all about?
Just want to make sure it's real good down in there.
It's for good soil contact.
Yeah, we don't want any pockets of air down in there. And these are just going to really take off once they're in these bigger pots. Hoping we can have early tomatoes. So I make a hole down in there and then stick it down in there. Some of these I might have to add a tiny bit more soil to as they grow up taller, because I've still got about an inch of pot right there. Just stick. Since these have just barely come up, I'm not going to put them as deep. And then as they grow, I can add a little bit more soil to the pot. And see, that one's barely come up. It's surprising how long it can take before they sprout. You'd think that the seeds would rot, you know, in a couple weeks' time, but they don't. They eventually come up. This was the first one that came up. Got a little. So those are the tomatoes and peppers. I'm gonna do the broccoli and the cauliflower and the zinnias in these. They're not quite as big, they're smaller, but they'll work fine. I'm hoping I can plant the zinnias, you know, outside before too long. We'll see. I'm gonna have to add some more soil to these.
Homegrown tomatoes, what'll life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes. Homegrown tomatoes, what'll life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true.